Welcome to this very special edition of the KJ Masterclass Live, the show which ensures that you profit from your time spent here with experts, either through their industry insights, information, or simply learning from them. And today we have Petar Krastev. He is a passionate fitness coach and the founder of Coach PK. And his journey in the world of health and fitness has been driven by deep commitment to transforming lives through a personalized and strategic approach. Welcome to the show, Peter.
Thanks for having me, AJ. It's a pleasure to be here.
You
Hope we
are
can help the
welcome.
audience.
You are welcome. Welcome to the show. Welcome to India in this online form. And I'm sure not just in India, but a lot of people across the globe will benefit from what we are going to talk right now. We'll talk about how one can transform their health, how they can build healthy routines for themselves into their busy professional life. So we'll talk about that. But first, Peter, if you can know a bit more about your journey, your background, so that the audience knows who they are listening to.
Of course. I will not dive in too deep so we don't waste too much time. But I'm from Bulgaria originally. In 2014, I moved to the UK and I had a very rough journey. So my story is it's a lot of these struggles. I lived in a garage without electricity or water for a long time, maybe 18 months. I've been on the streets. I've been through a lot of personal challenges with relationships and with failing businesses. I think very common things that are very, really common between a lot of people. I thought I'm unique up to a point, but then I often was engaged in listening people's stories and I realized it's nothing unique in my struggles. Yes, in my situations were unique, but a lot of people actually go through their own. And eventually, I think in 2018 is maybe when I decided to dedicate my life to fitness simply because it was the only thing that I can potentially love and never quit because I really didn't want to quit ever again so I can build a good life for myself as my previous endeavors they all failed because I was stopping at some point. I didn't want this to happen again. It was already too late. I was 28 years old. I didn't want, to continue in the same way. And it was a great decision. Quickly after that, I found God, so I became a Christian, and I'm very happy about that too. So that He's guiding my life overall. Definitely, everything that I do is with these Christian values, and my business and my coaching. And now it has grown. 6 years in, we do work with a lot of international people from US and Canada, Austria, Germany, Netherlands, UK. We have people in a lot of places, and the very common issues between them. Often they have businesses or some sort of executive positions which require them to be on top of their game all the time, and then it's usually a very high stake job, that requires attention and has high responsibilities. They have families, and at that age when 40, 50, when people find themselves being successful and have achieved what they wanted to achieve for all their life, that's when they often realize they actually haven't put the time into to look after themselves, and health complications come up. Diabetes very common, especially for Indian people. um, the heart problems, arthritis, overweight, simply all that affects person's life a lot. And when trying to change, it's actually much harder than they expect because last time they did it mostly is in their 20s. And when you're in 20s, it is significantly more easier to get in shape in comparison to being 50. And I think that's when they realize they can't do this alone. And that's why my coaching exists. I help people in this situation to transition, not only older people, but elderly, but uh, even young sometimes, but mostly people with high responsibilities. And I help them build a lasting change, lasting lifestyle through small habits, very tactical habits that we pick one by one, and we work on them until they become part of their life. And that leads to great changes, leads to a whole new life. And I'm very blessed with that, seeing people change their life through this. almost daily. It's amazing. It's amazing. So hopefully I can share some really valuable tips here. It might sound simple, I can tell you now. Whatever we
Yes, yes,
might sound simple.
absolutely, absolutely. Because your clients
Yeah.
are busy executives and business owners. So your approach is specially, to help these high achievers integrate health routines into their, packed schedules.
hmm Yeah. And it comes down to very simple truths and things that we just have to accept and work on. There's no one size fits all. There's no magic trick. There's no magic diet. There's no magic training style. Um, Everything is extremely simple, and if people actually accept that for the simple things, it takes a lot of work to implement them and achieve the results. Then they can get somewhere. But what I see is often they just don't want to put in the work and they look for simple solutions, something that can solve the problem. But unfortunately, it doesn't work this way. It's a whole new thing that you need to learn, like a new lifestyle. It's not easy. Hopefully, I can help now.
Right. But so for those people, who may not just listen to your episode and they may not get your personalized coaching, uh, what are the few things that they can do, with their
Mhm.
busy life, whatever ways they are. Every professional has got tough deadlines and everything in their daily life, but still, health is very important, fitness is very important. So
Yeah.
what are the few things that they can follow listening to your advice?
So there are a few things that we need to definitely focus on, especially with Indian audience. They will be really relevant. Um, we call them the lowest hanging fruits. In every area when you try to improve, there's some fruits, some things that we can focus on, and by fixing them, they might be very simple, but they might have also significant impact on your overall health and well-being. And we'll start with the things that are actually hurting you, because you can work work out all you want, you can eat all the good stuff that you have to eat and sleep well, but if you're doing all the wrong things as well at the same time, none of that will work. So let's start by just really highlighting what is super super important for anyone to think about on daily basis and make it part of your life, part of your decision making when it comes to how you spend your day and what foods you're going to eat. The first thing is going to be that you need to be eating very high protein in your diet, and Indian diet is often filled with a lot of carbohydrates and fats. And if you don't understand what proteins are, then you need to just go online and watch a few videos on YouTube and educate yourself. That's anything that from beans, lentils, meats, fish. These kind of products, they do have significant amount of protein, and you also need to understand which foods are protein dense, so you can have a good amount of protein without actually having too much of other stuff inside, like fats. Or, if you're having some milk, for example, you're gonna have a bunch of carbohydrates in there and fats as well, and a little bit of protein. Yes, it has protein, but is it a good protein source? No, it's not, because it's a mixture of everything else. Is it a bad food? No, it's not a bad food, but it's about balance. And people need to learn to eat a lot of protein in every single meal that they eat, and that will make a significant impact on your overall health. You might even start losing weight right away if you just make that little change by making a quarter or maybe half of your plate, up to half of your plate, to be filled with protein-rich foods. That will be a massive game changer for a lot of you. Um, Again, you just have to self-educate a little bit more if what I'm saying doesn't make much sense, because we can do a very long masterclass here and you're still not going to get it, because it's probably just too much for one time. But go and explore it. The other thing that we need to really focus on, instead of frying everything, honestly, frying all the foods is not helping at all. 1 gram of fats, you can't even see it. If you have to measure a teaspoon of oil, let's say, that will be easily 10 to 15 grams of oil. And this can pack into over 100 calories. 100 calories is a lot. That's just in a teaspoon that you can't see. And if you fry your foods, a lot of teaspoons go into your food. They get soaked in your rice, in your if you eat some chapatis with some sauces and fried chicken and whatever you fry, it gets soaked with that oil, and you don't even realize how many calories you put in your body because you're frying. So you gotta think about baking foods and instead of cooking them with oil and frying them. It makes a massive difference. And adding the protein, now baking all the foods, you're already on a very, very good track for improving your health. If you're eating, the third thing would be the final that I will say about nutrition is if you're eating a lot of processed foods such as salamis, cheap, especially cheap salamis, cheap fillets that have been heavily processed, especially those packaged for long-lasting time life on the shelves, or highly processed cakes, for example, sweets, pastries that also have been packaged with and have a lot of E's on the label, which is emulsifiers. These things are not good at all because they affect your gut lining. They destroy the way your gut structures from the inside. And by doing that, they hurt very important nerves that are responsible for the release of hormones like leptin and ghrelin. And these hormones regulate your hunger and regulate your satiation. So if you want to feel full, these hormones they need to work, and these nerves they need to work in the right way. And by eating these processed foods, what you're doing is you cause the nerves to get damaged a little bit, and they get pulled back because the gut lining has been stripped off, and now the nerves are not as responsive as they should be. And the hormones actually start working in the other way around. When you eat, you start feeling more hungry. When you're supposed to be satiated, you feel hunger, and and that just continues throughout the day. And you can just imagine how this will affect your behavior. You will want to binge eat. You will want to eat more than necessary. You will want to snack, and you will end up doing it. So a big message there. Processed foods are certainly not good for you. A simple processed foods, like a lightly processed, like whole grain bread without much chemicals in there, that might be okay. If you cook something at home, that's great. It's still processed, but it's your processed food. These changes will make a massive impact, and then we can look into somebody's movement throughout the day. If you're sitting like me on the chair all day long, you have to dedicate some time for walking. I intentionally go out walk every day. It could be after work when I have extremely busy day. At the end of the day, to relax and calm down, I spend an hour just outside walking in my neighborhood because it's just necessary. And also I do workouts. So being walking off frequently and doing your workouts 3 to 4 times a week, where you're training your body's muscles, like the resistance training that stresses your muscles, that will keep your life for a very, very long time. Muscles are the longevity organ of the body. They keep the blood flowing. They regulate the hormones. They kind of create space for the blood sugar from your bloodstream to go into. So one of the reasons people have diabetes is because they're insulin resistant, and to make it worse, they not just need a lot of insulin, they also need a lot of space to store that blood sugar when it goes into their bloodstream, and a lot of them end up eating a lot of sugar, so that sugar gets stuck in there. And instead of going to the muscles because there's nowhere else, it just spirals out of control in the bloodstream, and it creates the issues that diabetes does. Having more muscle mass can offset that by just creating more space. So now the insulin can do its job and can pull out the glucose and store it as a glycogen in the muscles, and that's a big thing. That's a big thing, and it's one of the many benefits that you will get by just training your muscles regularly and keeping them alive and big, good size as possible. And these are major things. What I just shared might sound simple. You might have heard it like a million times before, but you will keep having problems until you keep uh, ignoring this simple truth and information. It is powerful, and what we use for clients who come to me for the best experience in the world, and they want the best service, the best solution, and that's exactly what we give them. It's very simple things. um,
Very, very simple
yeah, I
things,
think I
but
shared the
very
most. There's other things like sleep, stress management. They are crucially important as well. Um, but they will have a longer, it will take a longer time for them to have an effect. But if you're somebody with a very poor sleep right now or living with high stress, you need to work on that too. Consistent sleep, 8 hours a night, or at least catching up with a few naps throughout the day if you can't have 8 hours straight. That also is so important for emotional and physical health.
Absolutely, absolutely. And what about consistency? See, people start something, but and they do it for few days, maybe a few weeks, but then the consistency is gone, and then everything comes to a standstill. How do you take that care of that part? How do you still instill that into their mindset?
Yeah, that's a very good question because, as you probably know, consistency is the most important part of one's journey. It doesn't really make that big of a difference between the different diets you're going to be doing or the different workouts, as long as you're doing any workout or as long as you're on a healthy diet. What makes the biggest difference, much bigger than what kind of process you're going to choose, is your consistency. How long time you can continue living with this thing. If you can only continue living with that for a week with this regimen, then that's not good. That's not gonna get anywhere. And you have to work on building that consistency so you can sustain this forever and have at least, I think, 3, maybe 4 weeks straight of very good behavior when you get to that point, and then you can allow yourself easily to have some periods of not being so good, or you can uh, look at this in a smaller time frame. For example, in a week, you can, if you can last for 5 6 days and then on the 7th day you're not as good with your training or with your diet, that's still okay as long as you can get back on the horse right next week. And the way to build your consistency is by by really realizing where you are right now, what age you are, and not trying to train like you were in your 20s. That's one of the biggest mistakes. Most of clients and people who come to me, I see that they have attempted to get in shape. It's not like they haven't tried, but they've tried to do it in the way they did it in their 20s. Your body is not recovering in the same way right now. It's not going to respond in the same way, and this is just not going to stick. Your 20s workout, they're going to break you down, they're going to exhaust you, you're going to feel super sore, your energy is going to drop, and it's just not going to be realistic. Not to mention you're going to lose a lot of time in training. So instead of just finding the magic training plan that you want to fit into your lifestyle, why don't you ask yourself, how long time do I have every single week? How many times can I spend in working out? And how long time I realistically have every time, every day of that I will be training? How long time do I have for each workout? And then ask yourself the next question, where can I be training realistically without really struggling to get there? So if your gym is in the other end of the city, that's probably not a good choice. It's much better you train in your living room and just get some work done with body weight workouts. So you need to identify what you can fit in your lifestyle without any friction. You want to create a frictionless routine, something that is just going to happen as long as you have the willpower to wake up and just get the job done. Create a schedule. Say when you're going to be training. What are you going to be training? Something that's easy. It doesn't matter what kind of workout you're going to do, as long as it's resistance training, maybe some cardio. There is a good balance, there is a bad balance, but any balance, any attempt to do it is way better than not doing it. So just find something that you can do right now. And when it's that small, when it's manageable, then consistency is easy to build. Then you can stick to it. And just before you increase the intensity, before you add another workout or before you make the workouts longer, wait for a few weeks. Take it easy at first. At first, you might do just 3 exercises for 1 or 2 sets each. That's literally what we do with some of the people who have very low experience, or their body is not at the place where they can handle much. Just simple workouts, but frequent in space, that will lead to great results. And the same applies for the diet. If your diet is super bad and you now try to implement what I just said about the perfect diet, then I guess you're going to have a very hard time and you might end up binge eating. To avoid that, take it one step at a time. Look into the protein, replace some of the carbohydrates from your plate with some protein. You're going to fill up the same. Maybe you're going to feel even fuller. Um, so just start making small changes. And when you become very good at them in a week, two, three, a month, then increase the intensity a little bit until we get to the point where you're kind of very happy and you're making progress constantly. Every week you see progress in your health and performance. You're becoming better, and that's where you can maintain really, and you're continuously improving at the same time. You're just maintaining a lifestyle that is designed to make you better, and yeah, that's how we do it.
Absolutely. There is much to learn from you, Peter, about all these things. And I'm sure a lot of people would like to learn more from you, more about you, the type of, help that they can get from you. So, what is the best way for them to connect with you?
I am available on social media platforms. If you search my name in most platforms, in Instagram, it's going to come up in TikTok, even on YouTube, where I'm starting a channel with a lot of in-depth videos like this right now, even more with a lot of visual illustrations. That would be very helpful. So I encourage you find my YouTube channel. There might be nothing yet, but I'm in the process of creating a channel and a podcast, which will be very, very educational. And if you actually want to talk to me, you can text me in the social media platforms, or even better, go to my website. It's called pk.coach. So it's just www.pk.coach. Simple. Go in there and you can see some videos that will tell you how things work, and you can get in touch with me directly there in the chat. And I'll be happy to talk to you wherever you are.
Wonderful. With this, it's a wrap on this very special edition of the KJ Masterclass Live. Thank you so much indeed for joining us.
Thanks, AJ.